welcome to another video. Today we're doing a little portrait drawing of my character Kira. I was drawing Kira in my sketchbook. I was doing this little comic where she and her fiance Nick are sparring because she does train him, because initially he is very weak. I guess he trains muscles for like show, but he is not a very good fighter, so she's training him to be a better fighter. And so this is probably later on in their relationship where they've been training together for a while, and so they're fighting, and he basically gets a hit on her and he punches her in the face, and he's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. But she like looks at her hand and she's like, touches her nose, and like there's blood coming out of it. So there's gonna be blood in this illustration, just so you guys know. It's only a little bit because it's just a small nosebleed. But she's like, that's more like it, basically. She's like, it's good that you got a hit on me. So that's what this little illustration is. I did a pen and ink one in my sketchbook just because I was gonna color it in my sketchbook. Then I realized I had a comic on the opposite page, so I couldn't color it without ruining the comic. So I decided, okay, I'll just do the pen and ink one in my sketchbook, and then I'll take a picture of it basically, and I'll trace it and make it digital, and I'll print that one out, and I can have a colored one in my sketchbook also. So that's what this one is. This is just a colored version of that one. If I'm being honest, I like the pen and ink one a little bit more. I don't know if it's because I don't like the way I colored this, or if I just feel like it fits the vibe a little bit better for the comic, because I do plan on, when I draw the comic, I do want it to be sort of kind of in a pen and ink style, more of like a manga type style, and not really like fully colored, just because I feel like fully colored would be a super big pain in the ass. So maybe that's why I prefer it, but yeah, I still like the way this one came out. It's not too bad. I went ahead and used the same colors I typically use for Kira's skin color. I feel like I know the way I want her skin to look now. I did choose a different shadow color, like the color that I used to put in like the warm hues. I used E93 this time instead of EO2, which is what I used last time. I didn't really like EO2 last time. I feel like I like this one a little bit better. It adds warmth to her skin for sure. And I feel like it is still kind of orangey, but less orangey, if that makes sense. I don't think that it does, but that was the goal. I like the way that it looks. I sort of kind of realized after I did it that I probably should have inked the original drawing first and then used that as the line art, but I did not do that. I decided, I don't know why I decided not to do that. I think it's because I was in the middle of inking it when I decided that I was going to transfer it over and make a second one. And then I was like, I was not in the middle of inking it. I'm sorry, that was not true. I was going to start inking it, and I was like, but it's going to take too long. I was kind of sort of running out of time. And so I was like, I'll just make the digital version, and then I'll ink it after. But I think I probably would have preferred it if I had inked it before and then used that one to then inform the digital version for this coloring, because I feel like they look a little bit too different now, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter too much. They're not even going to be on the same page. I was thinking about putting them on the same page, and then I was like, I like the inked version a lot more, so the other one is going to go somewhere else in my sketchbook, but that's okay. Actually, I was thinking about not gluing it, but taping it in there, and now I'm like, I should have used sticker paper, because I do have a lot of sticker paper, and I didn't really think about it. I actually bought two different versions of sticker paper. One is supposed to be like for labels, and so it's a little bit more textured like actual paper, and the other version is more like vinyl sticker paper, so it's smooth and stuff. You can't draw on the vinyl stuff, but you can draw on the more paper-like texture of the one that is for labels. And so I was like, I could have printed it on sticker paper and just stuck it in my sketchbook, but I didn't even realize that until after I'd already drawn it. And so I'm like, I could probably make another one and try it out. I actually don't know how well that sticker paper takes markers. Probably not super well, if I'm being honest. It probably sucks, but it can be fun to draw stickers on sticker paper, so maybe I'll do that and see if it comes out really well, because if that does happen, then I could just make my own stickers that way. I mean, I make my own stickers anyway with the vinyl paper. I feel like they probably will look better on the vinyl paper, and I like the vinyl sticker because it's a little bit thicker, but just having like drawing and making like a unique one-on-one sticker and then just sticking that on my sketchbook, in my sketchbook, not on it obviously, because like I already said before, I don't really like sticking things on my sketchbook, but in it, that could be fun. So I might try that out this week, or I might try it out next week, I don't know. But yeah, was sort of kind of struggling to think of how I wanted to add the shadow across her face. She's got that line across her face that's just supposed to imply like the shadow line of her like leaning up, and it's sort of kind of like that thing in anime where like a character gets like serious or angry or something, and you see like this shadow fall across their face. That's what that is supposed to be. She's not angry, but she's like getting serious about the fight now. Like honestly, if I drew the continuation of the comic, I think she'd probably kick his ass harder than she usually does, just because she's like, he could take it now. And so yeah, she's supposed to be getting serious in this drawing, but I wasn't really sure how I wanted to do it. I was like, do I want to do it the same color as her skin tone, but just use like a darker shade? And I was like, no, I feel like I kind of want to make it purple. And so I made it purple. And I feel like that was probably the correct choice. I like the way that the purple looks. I did actually have to go back and make her eyes purple after I did the coloring. Like, because I was like, her eyes would also be in shadow. So after I did the color of the eyes, I had to go back and add some different purple in. Just the usual purple that I use for eyes. And I was like, but I feel like her eyes need a little bit more shading. And so I added shading to her eyes also. Like, it's purple, and then it's like a darker purple for the shading of the eyes. I'm not sure if that was the correct move. I feel like it was, because even if you're... No, I don't think it is, because your eyes cannot be in... I guess you could be in more shadow, but I don't know. It's weird. I don't know if that was correct, but I made her eyes green in this drawing, you guys. I don't know if her eyes are green. I feel like the last time I drew her, I also made her eyes green. So I was like, I'll just make her eyes green again, but I don't know if they fit her so much. Before I was drawing her eyes as green, I was drawing them as brown, but I feel like maybe brown is a little bit too boring, because I feel like everybody else in the cast, all their eyes are brown, which is like not unusual, right? Like most people in the world have brown eyes, but I feel like at least one of them should have different colored eyes. And so my brain was like, make Kira have green eyes, but I don't know if it fits her. I might give Nick colored eyes instead. I don't know if green eyes fit Kira. You guys can let me know. I mean, it's kind of cool. It kind of gives her like a cat eye look. Like, it makes her look a little bit more ferocious that way. I think maybe, but I'm not sure if it fits with the rest of her color scheme so much, because her color scheme is just pretty much just, like brown on brown on brown. And then she's got like a black shirt, but I don't know. I have to think about it some more. I mean, the green eyes don't look bad. And also there's the whole fact that I covered up the green eyes with the purple anyway, so it's like you can barely even tell. They kind of look a little bit more blue to me in real life than they do look green. But I feel like in the drawing they also look a little bit more blue because of the purple that I put over them, but I'm not sure. And here you see me adding in the blood. I'm sorry if you guys do not like blood. It's only a little bit. Like I said, it's only a small nosebleed. And so I didn't put that much blood. There's like a little bit on her fingers just because she had like previously touched her nose and then looked at it. So there's a little bit on her fingers, and mostly it's just on. And then the part from her mouth, I drew some blood in her teeth, so that way I feel like it kind of seems more like the blood is coming from her nose into her mouth, or maybe like it also like cut her lip a little bit. And so it's one of those two. I would probably prefer if it was blood from, if I had gotten punched in the face and the blood ended up in my mouth, I would prefer if it would be mouth blood and not nose blood, because it'll gross. But I'm not sure. Maybe it's nose blood and it just got in her mouth. I don't want to think about it too much. But yeah. So sorry if blood disturbs you. I like to draw blood. You guys know this. I draw blood a lot, actually. If you're looking through any of my old sketchbooks, there was a time where I really just started just going really ham on the blood stuff. Now I keep it a little bit more, what's it called? Not simple. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm not sure. Not PG either. I keep it more restrained. That's the word. I keep it a little bit more restrained. I could have gotten really ham with the blood, but I was like, no. It's just one punch into the face, and then when I'm drawing like fight scenes, I try to not to draw too much blood like coming out of the mouth and stuff, just because it's like if you're bleeding from your mouth, either you get punched in the mouth or like you have internal bleeding. And so every time I like watch an anime and like a character gets punched and they're like and they like cough up all that blood, I'm like, wow, they have internal bleeding. That's crazy. But they probably don't. It's probably just like a simple punch. But apparently if blood comes out of your mouth, that's what that means. It means that you have internal bleeding somewhere, which is like, that's crazy. I can't believe it. I mean, if you didn't get punched in the mouth, like if you get punched in the stomach and like blood comes out of your mouth, it means they have internal bleeding, apparently. So yeah, internal bleeding somewhere in the body, I guess, but she does not have internal bleeding, so it's just a punch to the nose. I probably should have drawn her nose a little bit more bruised, just because if you're getting punched in the nose, it's not just going to bleed, right? It's going to bruise. I mean, it's not going to bruise immediately, so probably after this, maybe she would have some bruising around her nose. I mean, probably. But it's not anything she's not used to, right? because she is used to getting into fights and sparring a lot. But yeah, I moved on to color her hair already, you guys. And also I just want to tell you guys that I did lose some footage when I was doing this. I hate that because I always check like every 5 minutes when I'm drawing to make sure that the footage is still going. And then when I get carried away and I don't check, that's when the footage shuts off every single fucking time. If I check it every 5 minutes, it's not going to turn off. But whenever I don't check it, that's when it shuts off. Thankfully, the only thing you lose in the drawing is the color of her shirt. It's nothing exciting, you guys. Her shirt is black, like it always is. And also, you don't get to see me add the whites to the eyes, which is honestly the saddest part, you guys, because that's the best part of any drawing, is adding the whites, the highlights. So, that's a little sad, but the rest of it you see pretty much. So yeah. I kind of forgot to talk about the way that I draw blood, the sort of kind of process to it. I mean, it's not like going to be like a tutorial or anything. The way that I draw blood is pretty simple. Usually I like to take the darkest color that I have, the red that I'm using, and I put that in the middle, basically. And then after that, I go over with the lighter color, and then after that, I go over with the lightest red. Typically 3 shades. If I'm shading anything, it's at least 3. Sometimes it's more, but usually it's the 3. I keep things pretty simple, including with blood. And so yeah, I kind of just try to figure out. Sometimes I lay down the brightest color first, and then I go middle tone, dark tone. But usually I like to go dark middle to light, because it helps them blend out a little bit more. And I feel like the blood should have a little bit more of a seamless blend, because it is supposed to be one uniform liquid. But I do feel like, obviously, if you do like realistic blood, it's like all the same color, right? But I feel like the way that the highlights and the shadows fall in blood is a little bit different. And so that's what I like to do. And I feel like blood does come in very different colors. I mean, it's not gonna be bright red. I feel like I read somewhere that if it's like bright red, there's like an issue with your blood. Like, your blood should not be like bright red. It should be like a little bit more of a darker red, but not too dark, right? Because then if it's like too dark, then it's like dried blood looking like. And so I feel like the way that I draw blood makes it look like it's live blood flowing out of a person, I think, hopefully, but I'm not sure. I don't really look at blood very often. When it comes to like gore stuff, I try not to look at references too much. Like when I was drawing like the inside of people, which is like gross, a weird way to say it, but like intestines, which I have drawn a few times. I try to look up references because I don't actually know what they look like off the top of my head. Like, how would I know that, right? But I don't really like to do that, because I don't know if you guys have ever looked up anything about the human body for drawing purposes, like organs and stuff, but like seeing that is like, gives you like a very squishy, gross feeling, because you're like, I don't want to see that. Your brain is like, that is supposed to be inside. You should not be able to see that. And so it makes you really uncomfortable, which is like a good thing. I feel like if I was the type of person who was like very comfortable seeing human innards, that'd be kind of weird. So yeah, that's about the end of the video, you guys. It left off on a little bit of a weird note, but yeah, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I will go ahead and see you in the next one. Bye.